Week 14 of college football is here, and Alabama star quarterback Ty Simpson must rebound after back-to-back subpar performances.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Keith Sanchez. He is the director of scouting with the Draft Network and national champion with the 2019 LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers, and thank you for being part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in America, all because of you. It's week 14 in college football, and we have to preview the action for the 2026 NFL Draft prospects. Those prospects to watch on the offensive side of the ball, we call them statement makers. The defensive side of the ball, statement makers as well, guys that you need to keep your eye on. And then the alarm clock's going to go off at the end of the show, telling you about the sleepers that you need to be watching. But before we get into all of that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 back in bonus bets to use freely across the app. Ty Simpson, player, prospect to watch on the offense side of the ball, Keith, he's got to make a statement. Coming off 2 games where he has not played his best ball as of late, against Oklahoma and against Eastern Illinois. I think the house that Tony Romo built. You do 2 interceptions and everything. And so, just turning the ball over the past 2 weeks, got to clean that up. You're going on the road in a game that, no matter the record, throw the records out the window, the Iron Bowl has always been one of those games that it could go either way, right? We've seen it happen where Auburn's beat Bama teams that we didn't think they were going to beat. On the road at night, 7:30 Eastern kickoff, I need to see Ty Simpson get back to playing Ty Simpson football, making the right decision, looking off the coverage, not staring down reads, protecting the football. Also, if that internal clock needs to speed up in the pocket, that's why Oklahoma was able to get pressure on him late within the play, because he's holding on to the football and not making a quick enough decision. You see, I think Brent Venables exposed the youth in terms of the lack of starting experience of a Ty Simpson in that game. I want to see him play better, get back to playing the ball that made us believe, and I still believe you're a first-round prospect. Get back to playing that type of ball and kind of erase the last 2 weeks with a win over Auburn.
Yeah, no, and I think he has to, right? In means of finishing strong. First of all, finishing strong to make the college football playoff, because if you lose this game, y'all are not making the playoffs, right?
You're in it right now.
And for his draft stock, because this is a NFL draft show, this is important for him to finish strong. Just say, listen, along the process, I had a couple hiccups, but I learned from them, right? I had the Florida State game, right, which I didn't play horrible, but I didn't play good. And then what they just lost to Oklahoma, right, which I didn't play well, right, but I learned from it. So I think it's very important for Ty Simpson. DP, I mean, I'm for our listeners, right? This is to kind of explain this week. This is rivalry week, right? You get a lot of interstate matchups as far as Florida. I think Florida versus Florida State, right? Then you get you have North Carolina versus North Carolina State, Alabama versus Auburn, and then you have some kind of states that share a border, right? I think they share a border. Oregon versus Washington. I think that's the same border, right?
Something like that.
Same area, right? Same area.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of big time matchups, man, in which made it very difficult to do when you talk about offensive prospects. But I'm going to go with Cade Klubnik, DP, for the same reason I say with Ty Simpson. I think it's very important and it's paramount just to go ahead and finish strong, finish this season strong, finish on a high note. And this is another interstate rivalry, Clemson versus South Carolina. Clemson is in South Carolina, right?
Yeah, they're probably about 2 hours, probably about two and a half hours apart from each other.
Okay, cool. So Clemson's in South Carolina and South Carolina's in South Carolina. So, all right. So man, and just with this situation, and obviously, I think with Lenore Sellers will be suiting up on the other side, and you're going against another quote unquote. This was supposed to be people probably highlighted this game before the season and said, man, this might be a battle of the 2 number 1 overall picks. Oh, how things
Yeah.
have changed, right? But I think for Cade, man, it's just to consistently show that, listen, we're we had hiccups, disappointing season overall, but this is what I do as a football player, right? And this is how you start building your own personal momentum. So I looked at Cade Klubnik in this matchup, and I'm saying, even though it's not a ranked versus ranked matchup, for you, it still matters a whole lot.
Absolutely. I think this is going to be a big game. I mean, just like Auburn, Alabama threw the records at the window, there's bragging rights for the state. You know what I mean, between those two schools and those fan bases. Keith, I go to the big game of the week, Ohio State versus Michigan, and Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith missed last week. Carnell Tate has missed the last 2 weeks due to an injury, but they're trending in the right direction. Per Ryan Day said that they basically been trending in the right direction. They've gotten good rehab days. They're going to get some rest and everything, and they're going to see what happens because nobody wants to see this game without them. They expect them to play, things of that nature. Carnell Tate is able to play in this game. That's a big win for Ohio State and for Julian Sand. That Michigan defense is tough. They are physical. They are athletic. And if you don't have one of your top horses out there, like it could be a difficult day because, again, I look at this game and say, throw out whatever has happened prior to it. Throw it out the window. This is a game that might get black and blue very, very early, Keith. This is going to be one of those slugfest physical games. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 17-14 game and it could go either way. And who has 17? I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. And every drive, every opportunity is going to be critical. Getting Carnell Tate back in this offense just helps change this offense. Yes, Brandon Ennis has played well. They finally got Max Clare going. They're getting him the ball. He had 105 yards last week. Well, that's because the top two receivers are out. They need Carnell Tate. They need Jeremiah Smith for sure, because I don't see a way that you beat Michigan. You're not just going to run the ball over Michigan like you did these lesser teams. You're going to have to throw the ball, and you're going to have to attack that secondary. They need Carnell Tate. And for me, Carnell Tate coming back healthy, if he's closer to 100%, prove why your stock has risen so high, and there are scouts that believe that you're a top 15 prospect in this class.
Yeah, I like that deep. I'm gonna go with another quarterback. I'm gonna go with Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia. Keep the hype train going. I think they playing against Tennessee. Tennessee is ranked, I think 20, right? And this is another interstate rivalry, right?
Yep.
Vanderbilt is in Tennessee, and Tennessee is in Tennessee, right? So we have an interstate rivalry right here. Those two teams going against each other, and Vanderbilt, it's another opportunity to put a ranked win under your belt, right? And then you get a Vanderbilt team headed into the college football playoff, because I don't think they have a shot at the SEC championship.
No.
Don't
They're
quote
like
me on
fifth.
that. Yeah, okay, yes. I don't think they have a shot, but they have a shot to get into the playoffs, right? And then you get into the playoffs, you potentially get a fun first-round matchup, maybe against Ole Miss, or you play a Miami, right? Or depending on what happens, and you may have Indiana, right? Like Vanderbilt versus Indiana, who would you pick, right? Like,
yeah. Or they get the group of 5 team, you know what I mean?
Yeah, or you get a
group
group of 5 team, yeah, and you're on your way to the second round of second round of the playoffs, however that may unfold. So I look at Diego Pavia as a must, that he plays well. And when you talk about what Heisman moments, this can be one, right? Because Ohio State, obviously Julian Saylor, Michigan, we don't know for sure what's going to come out of that, right? Like that can be a slugfest, that can be a 13-3 football game, right? But I perceive that this Vanderbilt Tennessee game is going to be high scoring, right? And then you look at Diego Pavia in his resume thus far, he's already kind of the David and Goliath situation, right? He already has the underdog. He's David, right? Get a slingshot and knock down whoever you got to knock down, whoever giant, right? And he's already has that, and then he's starting to build a little momentum off the field, right? Just doing different appearances, showing up in different places, things like that. Heisman polls, all of that stuff. So can he walk away with the Heisman? It's fully possible when you look at it from that perspective. So in the season off with another ranked win against a program that's perceived to be a bigger program, right? University of Tennessee. It's been since Peyton Manning, since they've really competed for a national championship, but this is still a crowd. We talk about 100,000 fans show up week in and week out to University of Tennessee to watch. So go ahead and knock off one of the Blue Bloods.
No, I'm with you. I think that this is a big time opportunity because, again, with a win, you secure your spot in the dance, and you don't have to deal with the SEC championship game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you can get in the CFP without playing that extra game, that's a really good thing. Your bodies can rest, you can heal, and then you can focus on the matchup that you have in round one and spend a couple weeks game planning and prepping for that. And then, Keith, I close out. You mentioned Cade Klubnik, his right tackle. Blake Miller, who's been playing better ball this year. You got Dylan Stewart. You got Dylan Stewart queued up this weekend for South Carolina, who's projected to be a top 10, potential top 5 pick. You got to go out there and keep this guy out of the backfield, keep him away from Cade, because if not, Cade's not going to be able to play the way that we need him to play for the draft.
Yep. Well, DP, let's do this, man. You know, we flip sides of the football. We show love to both sides of the football, the offensive side. And now we're doing the defensive statement makers to look for this rivalry weekend coming up next.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand in the fourth quarter, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game even more exciting, especially when your team's making that late game push like my Detroit Pistons. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 back in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Defensive statement makers and defensive prospects to watch for the 2026 NFL Draft in Week 14 of college football. Keith, I go right to Texas versus Texas A&M. Cashius Howell.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a guy whose stock is going to be volatile, Keith, because while he is extremely productive, quick, explosive, dynamic off the end, can dip and bend, ankle flexion, all of that, Keith. The thing that he's being knocked on and crazy, it usually takes to draft season for people to really like highlight measurables to an extent. He has less, I think from what I read, it was sub 31s on the arm. So like almost T-Rex type arms instead of arm length and wingspan. And that already has people kind of buzzing on like, okay, how early are you going to go because of that problem in the NFL? Because we know he knows how to get to the quarterback, right? Like he's extremely productive. He's proven that. Well, he has multiple games where he's got at least 2 sacks in it this year. This guy can get to the quarterback, but I think this is going to be a game against Trevor Gooseby, the talented left. I think he's playing left tackle this year for Texas. That getting that matchup, can you win against a longer arm guy who is a good athlete and can move? The thing I think with Gooseby is more consistent play strength. So it's like, can you take his concern and make it a strength for you and get into his chest plate, stuff like that? With Cashius Howell, the arm length is going to be a thing, but getting to Arch Manning. Now, Arch has played better under pressure as the season has gone on, but you got to get back there consistently. This is a great defense that Texas A&M has, but they're going to need their dog to be the dog, and that is Cashius Howell. You need to be in that backfield as much as possible to keep Arch off kilter and off schedule, and just keep him from being and feeling comfortable, because we've seen it. He's been putting up great numbers. He's been making really good plays and throws, even when you flush him. So it's not just getting back there. You got to hit him and make him uncomfortable early.
Yeah. Okay, so the arm length being introduced into this conversation, for me, I'm gonna probably unintroduce it into this conversation. Just WTF, watch the film. This guy knows how to get home and get to the quarterback, DP.
For sure.
But I'm gonna do this, man. You pick a guy from this matchup, this Texas versus Texas A&M matchup. I have another guy. I'm gonna go with linebacker Anthony Hill, and the reason I say that is for multiple reasons, because of his run game, right? And then we want to see your versatility in the fact of, are you gonna be a guy that has to spy Marcel Reed, right? Can they use you in that position? This is going to be a very important evaluation for Anthony Hill, because we know that his athleticism, I'll say this, his change of direction, and start-stop ability to play in space, I will probably put all at average, right? All of those are kind of average situations.
Yeah.
So the part of the Texas A&M matchup is Texas A&M getting the I formation. They put Marcel Reed under center, whatever that may be, and they run it downhill. You have to be a downhill thumper, right? You have to be a guy that can take on, those dual blocks, and when the center of the guard is working towards you, be able to smack that center guard in the mouth, shed that block, and then make the tackle, right? So I think this is going to be a very interesting situation for him, because I think if not DP, I go to Jeremiah Trotter. Would this be a Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and not the senior, the junior situation where, a guy that had a lot of hype entering the season and throughout the season, but due to size concerns and things like and athleticism concerns, he started to slowly fall down draft boards. So for me, this is a huge matchup to see what he can and can't do as far as a linebacker.
Yeah, I think, even to further that point, Keith, I think on passing downs, like I said, spying Marcel Reed is going to be key. Colin Simmons is going to be a big key for them on that defensive line, getting to Marcel Reed. But like Texas A&M throws you're going to deal with a lot of crossers. You're going to have high-low reads in the middle of the field. Can you be disciplined in terms of picking the right one? Like if they send that shallow cross in front of you, are you going to take the eye candy, trigger downhill, and then open up that dig rock to Casey Concepcion behind it, or Mario Craver behind it, or I think it's like Austin Bethel Roman? Like, are you going to give them that bigger play, or will you drop back, keep your depth, and make them take the underneath, and then you guys rally to the football? That's going to be a big thing overall. But also Ruben Owens, like I think Le'Veon Monson still hurt. Ruben Owens can work out of the backfield as a pass catcher too, on mesh rail, those wheel routes, Texas routes, stuff like that.
Can you run
Can you run with him? Can you change directions and move with him? That's going to be a big thing. Keith, I go to he played linebacker, I think, at first for Michigan, and then he transitioned probably after week 2 or 3 into week 3 to playing more stand-up edge rusher. And that is Jaishawn Barham, 6'3", 245. This is a guy that, like, he's got physicality, that quick step downhill, playing Julian Sand in everything. He's a timing, rhythm, accurate quarterback. I think he's a little bit on the shorter side. He looks like he's about 6 foot even, maybe 6'1", probably 6 foot even when he's behind the line of scrimmage. Don't quote me on that, guys. Just going off the eye test. He just looks short to me. But in this game, getting back there to him is going to be paramount, because if Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate are both healthy and ready to go, they're not going to be afraid to throw the ball down the field to them. But what do you need to be able to throw the ball down the field, Keith? You know it. You need time. And if Jaishawn, because we know Derek Moore, he's consistently been producing on that defense. I expect them to try and maybe chip him, do different things, try to keep him out the backfield. So if you get the one-on-one, Jaishawn, go win that. Win that one-on-one, win it consistently, set hard edges. Don't allow them to run the ball with Bo Jackson Jr. and C.J. Donaldson and those big, strong, physical backs that they have. Don't let that be a thing. You, Rayshawn, Benny, all you, like, that front four needs to be able to stop that, put them in those third and longs, and then put them in those sweat situations where you're like, man, like, this is a little bit of pressure. I think it was Key and Peele, the skit where my man was just sitting there, just at the dinner table, just sweating, just because he's nervous. Like, you want Julian saying in that type of situation where it's 3rd and 12, the crowd's going crazy, he can't make checks and calls, and you want him sweating back there. You're like, man, I got to make the right read, I got to make the right throw, but the pressure is getting back there. You want to hear footsteps before you even get near him. You got to rattle him so he isn't dotting every I and crossing every T. So that's going to be a big thing, Keith. And then David Igbinosun, like, it's crazy nobody's talked about him much this year, but he's played really good ball, and he's improved his technique. He's not grabbing and panicking at the top of routes no more. Like, he's playing really good coverage. Him and his teammate Jermaine Matthews. This isn't a great receiving core, but they have size and they have some versatility at the receivers. For Michigan, hey, play on the island. Let them commit to the run game or whatever. Let your defensive coordinator channel his inner Rex Ryan and go on the island one-on-one. Tell coach, hey, send Matt, Coach Patricia, send the house. We good. We're straight out here. You go ahead, stop the run, keep Underwood in the pocket, all that type of stuff. Go, you do that part. We'll lock these guys up on the outside and don't let them get the big plays down the field.
Yep, with DP, let's do this, man. Let's get the alarm clocks and let's wake them up. We have coming up next, we're going to talk about those sleeper prospects to watch from this rivalry weekend of college football. Let's talk about that coming up next.
Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shot, for being our everydayers. And thank you for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in America, all because of you guys. Keith, that alarm clock has to go off, and it's buzzing and ringing, and it's waking people up because you need to know about these sleepers. And Keith, I hate to call him a sleeper because this is a guy we love coming into the draft, coming into the season, but their passing offense, even though they're winning games, just hasn't been the same. Deion Burks from Oklahoma. Like, you know, this was it's crazy, Keith, the way people talk about Mekhi Lemon, we were anticipating they were going to be talking about Deion Burks in that way.
That. Yeah, yep.
Like, and but the season started off well for them, though. The season did start off good. He was playing well. Then John Mateer gets hurt. The passing game is less efficient ever since he got back, and that's hurt, you know, just Deion Burks. Isaiah Centeglia is taken off. But Deion Burks hasn't gotten the type of targets and numbers. He's 5'9", 188, going up against an LSU secondary that is absolutely filled with NFL talent, from Mansour Delane to Pickett to AJ Halsey. There's numerous of guys in that secondary. I want to see them get Deion Burks going. And honestly, I feel like for John Mateer, boosting his confidence in those confidence-building throws. So you can't hit the 3 ball all the time. Sometimes you got to get to the cup, get a foul, get the free throw, get the and one in the free throw. Just getting easy completions could help him get into a rhythm sooner. Because I think that's the big thing with him. He plays with so much chaotic energy in the pocket. I could have put him as coach him up on yesterday's show. Like, brother, we gotta get you to just taking the quick stuff. Like, let's get the quick game going. Where it's like, hey, get it out your hand, back foot hit, release, throw the ball. Like, against this secondary who will play man-to-man, who will crowd the line of scrimmage and be physical and disrupt timing so that pass rush can get home. Yeah, I need to see some quick stuff to Deion Burks. And then also, like, then when they kind of give you some space so you can get the one-on-one a little bit, because Oklahoma can't run the ball consistently, then you can try to take a deep shot or create a manufactured deep shot to get him one-on-one. And I would love to see how he handles the coverage of Mansour Delane, if we can get some one-on-one press man reps, showcase that skill set, Deion Burks. But I hope he gets some more targets in this game.
Yeah, I like that call out, DP. And it's funny you went to that matchup because I'm going to choose somebody on the defense side of the football that hasn't played in a while. But he's supposed to suit up this week, I believe. And that is LSU linebacker Whit Weeks, right? John Mateer. Same reason why we talked about Anthony Hill, right? John Mateer for Oklahoma, he's a scrambling quarterback. He will make plays, right? And so for Whit Weeks is, can you spy this young man, right? Can you be a guy inspired, make plays against the run? Can you stop the run? Can you fill holes? Are you fully healthy, right? I think there's going to be a lot of conversation because this guy healthy, people are talking about him as a lock for a top 100 pick. And can he climb and elevate into other, I guess, into the second round and things like that, right? Continue to climb. I'm going to go with another guy, DP. We have an Oregon versus Washington matchup. Is this a sign for a potential upset, right? Oregon coming off of a big-time win. Washington has playmakers. They have Denzel Boston. They always have a decent wide receiver core. They have a quarterback, right? And then I'm looking at this young man right here, and I don't know what's been going on the past few weeks when I look at this, DP, but a running back that we both like coming into the season was Jonah Coleman, right? And he started off the season really good. He had back-to-back 100-yard games, and then after that, DP, he has failed to run for over 75 yards. His carries have been, the most carries he's had in the game has been 18 carries, but it's floated somewhere around, if I had to average it out, probably about 14.5 to 15 carries per football game, especially for a guy that's talented. And DP, over the past 2 weeks, he had 5 rushes for 2 yards against Wisconsin, and then 4 rushes for 6 yards against UCLA. So just not adding up. It's not making sense, especially with the talent that we thought he was coming into the season. So I'm looking at Jonah Coleman. Can he help fuel this, I guess you would say, upset win over Oregon, because there will be a big time matchup?
especially against that defensive front, Mateo, Barry Alexander, Amari Washington, like Betcher at linebacker. Like that front seven can absolutely get after it. Keith, I'm going to go back to that Michigan game. Donovan McCulley, the wide big 6, I think he's at 6'5", former quarterback, 6'5", 215, possession style wide receiver. Michigan's going to have to throw the ball at some point in this game. They're going to have to try and make plays. Ohio State's defensive line is legit. Cade McDonald is a guy to watch, especially because Michigan loves to run the football. Look like that. I guess I talked about David Igbinosun, the star corner over there. Donovan McCulley, like this, listen, a sleeper in this game, but this is a game that could be a statement for you to scouts, because scouts going to be there to watch Jeremiah Smith a year ahead of time. Look at Carnell Tate and some of the other guys on Michigan, like Derek Moore and stuff like that. If you can have 100 yards in this game and win your matchup against Jermaine Matthews when this time and against David Igbinosun, that's how you put people onto your game, and people have to go back to the film and say, okay, I know that the passing reps are limited, but what did you do with the opportunities that you had? We've seen it. We've seen guys like that. Nico Collins built the same way, and they ran the ball a ton there even when he was there. And they had way worse quarterback play when he was there. You know what I mean? And that was right before COVID, because I don't believe he played. I think he sat out the same year as like a Jamar Chase because of COVID and everything like that. So, yeah, I think for Donovan McCulley, man, opportunity to kind of take the spotlight off somebody else or jump into somebody else's spotlight and say, yo, I'm here as well. Like, scouts, I'm here as well. I'm 6'5", I'm 215. I can move, I can run. And if the ball's in the air, I promise you it's mine. I want to see what he can do in this big time moment, because their offense is going to need to be able to push the ball down the field to back the safeties up. Because Matt Patricia, Caleb Downs, and those boys, they're going to be hovering close to that line of scrimmage, Keith. Caleb Downs are going to make sure, hey, Underwood, don't leave that backfield. We're keeping you in there. You're going to have to throw from the pocket.
Yep. It's going to be exciting because he's definitely going to have to take some shots too, talking about quarterback Bryce Underwood. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. On Monday's show, it's going to be time to talk about the stock market after week 14, the money makers, the bag fumblers, and we're going to hand out our game balls of the week. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.